Welcome to the Martin Bailey Photography Podcast. It's July 21, 2014 and this is episode 431. Today I'm going to show you how to make an animated GIF file from a series of photos in Photoshop. Here you can see that I'm in Lightroom. We have 5 images selected and these 5 images are of a common kingfisher in flight. So if you do work in Lightroom, you can just select your images, edit in, and then select open as layers in Photoshop, and then Photoshop will gradually load in each image. I'm working on the raw files here. If you need to speed this process up with more files, for example, you can export as JPEGs and use those, but for this exercise I'm just going to use the original raw files, and we can see that we now have 5 images, all 5 images loaded as layers. And if I turn these layers on and off, you can see that they're not quite aligned, so we need to get these aligned. But to show you that, if you don't work in Lightroom, you can go to the File, Automate, and then Photo Merge menu, and then just select your 5 images, or your images for your animation here. Turn off Blend Images Together, and then when you open them, it will automatically align them for you. Because we came in from Lightroom, I'm just going to make sure that I have down here all 5 images are selected, and then go to Edit, Auto Align Layers, and just leave this as auto, and it will basically go away and look at the images and find common areas. If we turn the layers off, on and off, you can see that they're all lined up, but of course we have things like the image was actually, the camera was moving. I was photographing these with a gimbal head, so I was actually moving the camera around as I photographed them, but Photoshop has seen that the background is common across all of these images and the bird is in the same place, so it's just moved them all and aligned them for us. So I'm going to go back down here to where the bottom layer, because this one's the most out of line, and then I'm going to go to the crop tool. I've got this set so that it's got a ratio of 3:2, maintaining the original ratio, and I'm just going to crop in to a point where I'm not going to see any of the edges. Probably, let's see, about there. Maybe come in a little bit more, because we're just going to make I'm not too worried about pixels. This, an animated GIF by default is not for print, so I'm just going to move this around, and then hit enter to apply the crop, and just go back and turn on all of these layers again. And you can see now that as we do that, the bird seems to be moving, and we have a nice series. So the next thing that you want to do is go to the window menu and turn on timeline if you don't already have that turned on. And then down here you have 2 options: create a video timeline and create frame animation. And for this I'm just going to leave it at frame animation, because that'll be easier for us. And then literally just click the create frame animation button. Now what that's going to do is it's going to add the first frame that's visible. Then we need to hit this duplicate button and go over, and with that duplicated, just turn off the top layer, and then duplicate it again, turn off the next layer, duplicate, turn off the next layer, duplicate, and then turn off leaving the 4th layer, leaving the last layer visible. Now if we go through and click on these, we can see that we have an animation starting, but then you need to select them all and hit this little it says 0 seconds. We obviously want it to go more than 0 seconds. I'm going to select 0.2 seconds for now, and then here we can see we've got how many times it's going to loop as well, so I'm going to turn it to loop forever. And then if we hit the play, we can see that we have an animation. It's going through for 0.2, so 1/5 of a second per frame. Now you can adjust that for whatever your animation is. You might think that this is too fast, too slow, just adjust it with this. And you can also, I'm going to stop this, if you wanted to do a different time, you can use other and just type in the time that you want. But right now, although these frames this is the order I shot the frames, it almost looks like the bird is flying backwards. So what I'm going to do to make this look better is I'm going to reorder the frames. I'm going to take the 5th one across and then just reorder them so that we have the frames in reverse order. And when we play that looks better. That looks more like he's actually flying. So once you've done that, you're ready to export this. So you can go down to Save for Web. If you do save as, obviously you can save this as a Photoshop file and just keep it so that you can make changes later. But to actually get this onto the web as an animated GIF file, we have to open it as Save for the Web. I'm going to change this to Fit in View so that we can see it. And you see here we need to select GIF, and there's actually, the GIF standard only goes up to 256 colors. So you can see that there's a little bit of dithering going on. We have to, you can try changing these around to get less grain, but you see that what it's done is basically sampled all of the color data from the image, and it's going to try and make this as close to the original as possible. And for some images, if you don't have a lot of, you can take this down to say 64. Try and get the file size down. You can actually reduce the number of colors that you have in the image, but I'm going to leave this at 256 because you can see that it's actually affecting the image quite badly as we reduce it. And then here you can change the size. I don't want to make this too big, so I'm going to do it 1440 pixels wide. It automatically calculated the height for me because I've got these chained together. And then in looping options forever, it's going to export frames 1 to 5 for us, and then just hit save and it'll ask us where to put it. I'm just going to call this MVP Kingfisher. In fact, I'm going to put the size of the image into there as well. I like to do that. Save it to the desktop, and then if we go over to the desktop, and one of the easiest ways to preview a GIF file is to just drag it to a browser, and now you can see that we've got the bird, the kingfisher, flapping away forever and ever. Another way that you can do this is on a Mac. If you go into Finder, then the Finder itself will actually animate your GIF file for you. So that's another way of doing it. I don't know on Windows. I don't have one to play with to show you, but basically drag it to a browser and you'll be great. So one thing to be careful of though, especially if you make something as large as 14 by 40, you will have to be careful of where you share these, because if you share animated GIFs on, say, Facebook or Google+, then a lot of people will automatically unfollow you. They use up a lot of system resource to just display, and they seem very spammy. So unless you've got a really good reason to show something as an animated GIF, I don't recommend that you use this in a lot of places socially. But if you know your audience and you know that they trust you, then you give it a whirl. I actually shared this a few years ago and was fine with it, but a couple of people say I usually unfollow anyone that displays shares animated GIFs. So just be a little bit careful of how you share them. So that's it, very easy. But I've been asked a number of times to show this. You know where to find me. If you go over to martinbaileyphotography.com, you can check out my blog, and there's the tours and workshops and other goodies over there as well. So I hope to see you online, and you can also find me on Twitter, Google+, and Facebook, and links are all over here and in the followers section on most pages. So that's it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Bye bye.